Fire Chief Sean Cokerson. First, I want to thank the people of Lubbock and all of West Texas for the way that you have wrapped your arms around these families to comfort them and the first responder community. When our two heroes came home, people from across the state and here in Lubbock lined the route. They waved flags, saluted, and they prayed. The big thing, the really big thing, is that you were there for them and for us. It is impossible to perfectly memorialize these two men and the honor, servitude, and selflessness they carried in their hearts. And we will never be able to repay the sacrifice that they have made. But I can tell you that Eric Hill was a fireman's fireman. And due to his exceptional paramedic skills, there are people walking among us that may not be here had he not dedicated his life to helping others. Eric was a true public servant. While on the job, he thought of the personnel only that he was charged with protecting and the people he was sworn to help. He was proud of the work he was born to do and always was deflecting of praise. To Eric, his best every time was his personal standard. And as a leader, the best efforts of those around him was his expectation. There will never be another Eric Hill. We will miss him, but we will constantly honor him by holding to the high principles that he dedicated and ultimately gave his life to. Please continue to pray for peace and understanding for both the Hill and Reyna families and for their first responder families. And please pray for injured firefighter Matt Dawson, who is still fighting for his life. And please always remember the contribution of these two great men.
Lieutenant Matt McGinnis. I work for Lubbock Fire, and I want to echo what everyone up here has already said. Thank you so much for coming out here and showing support like this. It really is meaningful and moving and touching to firemen and policemen to have the community get behind us like you are. And especially for the families. I know I can't speak for them, but just in talking to them over and over, I've heard them say, this is so amazing, the support that you guys are showing. And not just Lubbock community, but all over the state and even nationally. It's really quite a thing, especially on a cold night to come out here like this. So I'll like to take a moment and pray for these guys too. If you mind bowing with me, please. Our amazing and loving Father, we bow before you today, grieving the loss of the first responders who recently died in the line of duty. We mourn the loss of these true heroes who gave their lives while working to protect ours. Jesus once said that greater love is no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. These first responders who answered this call for this difficult and dangerous task have clearly shown their love and commitment for us, and we are very grateful for this sacrifice, but especially for the example they set for all of us to follow. We're fully aware that nothing can repay the sacrifices of these courageous servants. So we are left to support one another through the grief of their loss, but also to remember them and their ultimate gift of service, given at such great personal cost both to them and their families. During this time and for the next many weeks and months, please remind us of your unconditional love for us. Please strengthen and comfort us give us peace and hope and the ability to continue to trust you in these difficult and confusing times. Thank you. For welcoming these servants into your kingdom. Will they experience no more pain, no more sorrow, but only joy and love for all eternity. Please comfort us with this knowledge as we continue to remember these men, these husbands, these fathers, these sons, these friends, and these our brothers. In Jesus' name. Judge Curtis Parish. I work for Lubbock County. I look out at my community and I see faces of children here. Children that are probably asking the question, why are we here? And I want to tell you, I'm asking the same question. But we are here today because our hearts are broken. Our hearts are broken because the best and the brightest of us are not with us anymore. But in the last 5 days, I have seen our community embrace a family who's hurting. In the last 5 days, I have seen a community embrace first responders who are hurting. And in the last 5 days, I've seen a community embrace each other who are hurting. And the other day, when we saw the best and the brightest of us heading to Fort Worth, we saw community after community show up to honor our fallen heroes, the best and the brightest of us. In your prayer you said, "Greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends." Our community were their friends. And that greater love continues today, and it continues in the hearts of these men and women that wear the badge. And so I say to them, the only 2 words I can come up with from a deep and sincere heart: thank you. And today we grieve. The Apostle Paul in 1 Thessalonians says, "We grieve, but not like those without hope." But we grieve. May God continue to bless each and every one of you, to the families of Officer Reyna, Lieutenant Hill, and the family who waits desperately for a healing for their son. I say, we share in your grief. We share in your prayers. And thank you. For while our grief is heavy, it cannot compare to the grief that you're feeling. And so the only thing I can tell you is that we grieve, but we grieve with hope that we will see our friends again. And that greater love will continue throughout all of eternity. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank you all for surrounding the families of the Reynas and the Hills. I want to thank you for surrounding the men and women that wear the shield. On behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you for your continued love and support from this community to these incredible men and women who protect us. And for those who Abraham Lincoln says gave the last full measure of devotion, we surround you and we say thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless Lubbock.